Welcome to the Process of Purpose podcast. Again, we're here to help inspire, motivate, and encourage others to find their purpose through the process of spirituality, health, and wealth, using godly principles and values to break through to the life that God has called us to live. I'm excited for this next episode. Again, we're doing things a little bit different. We're doing it at a home office. The mic situation's a little bit different, but nonetheless, we're on here to share some good information. And right now we're just really sharing, or I'm sharing a lot of personal stuff, things that kind of been changing, things that are different right now during this time that we're all going through right now. But I did want to share some light. I wanted to share some good news, some positive news, because a lot of good things are happening right now. Even though we're having all these crazy things going on right now, there's still a lot of good happening in the world. And one of the best things for my wife and I is our son is coming. Jedidiah Bear Cedeno is coming soon. So that's going to be what the podcast is about today, that our son is coming. He's going to be here in the next few weeks. As of today, he should be about 5 weeks out. Not too sure. He probably could be here a little bit sooner. Who knows, right? So we're expecting him. We're expecting him to come sometime in April or May, and we're just excited to see him here. I'm a little distracted because I gotta put it on do not disturb. All right, now we're ready to go. Let's pretend that never happened. So yeah, guys, we're super excited for him to come. And the reason for this podcast is we just want to get out there and again share some positivity, because we know that this is something that's going to be great for my wife and I, and hopefully just shine some light on maybe some things that you guys are going through, and maybe gives you some type of perspective on to focus on the important things, right? Don't focus on the news. Don't focus on those floating heads right now that you see, unless it's mine. But really focus on what's important, focus on the people around you, and what you can impact and do during this time right now. So man, like, I'm gonna jump right into it, man. I'm super excited to see my son. I seriously cannot wait to see him. I'm excited to see who he looks like, what he looks like. My wife believes that he's gonna come out with dark hair. So my wife and I have really dark hair, as you can tell. My wife has really light hair naturally. So we're kind of like, man, is he gonna have her eyes, my eyelashes, her eyelashes? Is he gonna come out with the full beard already? I mean, who knows, right? He might just come out full on beard, ready to go, and so we're just really wondering what that looks like. And I honestly, I just can't wait to see him. I want to see him. I just kind of want to hug him, hold him, and I know he's gonna be a big boy because he's stretching out my wife right now. But we know right now during this time has been pretty crazy. So I've been able to stay home with my wife and just enjoy everything that's going on right now with her. I see him kicking, and she lets me know every single time, like, hey, he's kicking, look. And the homie is like, I don't know, he's doing cherry pickers in there, jumping jacks, jump rope. I don't know. This homie is just going up and down. And I'm like, hey, son, slow it down. Like, mama needs a break right now, bro. Take it easy. And he's just kicking back, kicking. But it's been great. It's been great seeing him move around. A couple of days ago, he wasn't moving as much, and we're like, what is going on? But nah, the homie's moving right now. So it's just crazy to think that, like, hey, man, there's like a human inside my wife right now. Like, she's literally carrying life right now inside her. Like, how crazy is that to think of, right? As men, we don't go through that. We don't get to experience what that feels like. Your body changing, all the emotions, hormones, and everything. And my wife has been handling really, really well. She's been a trooper throughout this whole time, and I can tell about like 85% of the time she's uncomfortable, but never complains, never says anything. She just says, hey, I'm just glad he's moving, right? So again, perspective. We can complain about, man, this baby's kicking my butt right now. He's just kicking my ribs and everything, and she's not doing that at all. We understand it. It's a sacrifice of a lot of things, especially on her side. For me, I've been dealing with it a little bit different. I'm just enjoying it, sitting back, eating a lot of food. So it's been great for me. And so we really don't know what to expect during this time. We've never had a kid before, and we never thought we would have a kid during a pandemic, right? That's going on, where we have a self quarantine. So we really don't know what to expect as new parents. There's a lot going on. But I just know that we're gonna have a son that's gonna be getting here soon, and we have to be ready. And as parents, I mean, if you really think about it, going back in time, like people have been doing it forever, during pandemics, during wars, during whatever the case may be. It's been happening, and people come out on top. So like, for us to worry, it's not such a huge worry. It could be a little. Man, it could be a little frightening sometimes, but we know that it's all in God's hands, and He's going to be taking care of it. But I know it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. And I know I mentioned on the podcast yesterday, just saying like, man, I'm not going to be able to go to the first appointment today, and I just wonder how it is going, how it's going to be once we go to the hospital. So. That's going to be different. Now, if you guys have any advice, of what we can do and how we can approach it, that would be great. If you guys can share that, we would love that. If you guys have any type of advice, feel free to reach out. And listening to advice, and this can go to like, in every aspect of life, like listening to advice, a lot of times it's important because people have been there, done that before, so you don't have to really reinvent the wheel, right? But a lot of times we know we have to be careful of what we're listening to and who we're listening to. We still have to do our part on having good discernment, I guess you can say, on what people are telling us, and do our research on it. And I've my whole life I've struggled with people telling me what to do. It's something I've been open about. It's something that sometimes it could be something easy. Tell me to do something, and it's like, I was gonna do that later, but you're telling me now, so now I really don't want to do it. And I've always kind of been that way, and I know it's not good. So people telling me how to raise my son, or how it's gonna be, it's great, and I'm really taking it all in. I don't think once I've been like, oh my gosh, you know what you're talking about. But I just hope people understand that we are gonna do our due diligence, and at the same time, we're gonna raise our son and do things according to our beliefs and values, and that won't change, right? Everyone has their opinions, but we're gonna stick to our foundation. We're gonna stick to what we believe in, what our values are in, and I think you guys should too. And whatever you guys do, right? If it's going after a job that doesn't align with your beliefs and values, if that's not where God wants you to be, then why are you going to do it? And same thing for this situation with our son. It's like, hey, you tell us, oh, we're going to let him walk his walk, or, he's going to decide if he wants to be a Catholic Christian. Like, no, like there's none of that, right? We have a foundation. We know what we believe in, and we're going to instill that into our son. We're gonna love him no matter what, and I'm sure he's gonna fail just like I did hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, probably mostly thousands. But we're gonna allow that to happen. But at the same time, it's our job to guide him in the right direction. So I know that can be a podcast all on its own, but definitely we appreciate the advice that you guys are giving us, and we hope you guys keep sending that love and keep sending that advice, because I know it could become overwhelming when you really don't know what's coming or what you're going to do. So feel free to send me an email for the podcast, or if you want to reach out on Instagram, Facebook, and you're like, hey man, you really need to know this, don't hesitate to reach out, because that possibly can make our life easier, and I would truly appreciate that. Let me take a little quick swig of the coffee. But I want you guys to see the mug. This is the mug we picked up on our honeymoon in the Bahamas. Bahamas were good. It was nice. It was beautiful. And it was our honeymoon. All right. So there's a lot of excitement going on. There's a lot of good stuff happening. But there's also a lot of fear, right? We don't really think about this, but there's a lot of fear. Like, we don't know what to expect again. And I might just do a whole podcast on what I'm afraid of becoming a parent. But the most people are probably thinking like, hey, you're probably most afraid, or you have a lot of fear of what's going on, or the unknown right now of what's going on in the hospitals and stuff. But the biggest thing I'm most afraid of is failing as a dad. And I tell you this because I don't know what that looks like, right? And I'm sure I'm gonna fail plenty of times, but I'm talking about like completely fail where like I'm not there for him, or things like that. And just because I've experienced it before, not because I plan to do that, but just because I've been there before. It's like I never had that dad to be able to just console me and just say, hey man, everything's gonna be all right, man. I didn't have that, so it's gonna be new to me when I go and I see my son, and he's older and he's struggling with something. Obviously I'm gonna use a lot of biblical truth to give him advice and tell him like, hey man, this is the way it should be done. And you are loved, and different things like that. But I think that's the biggest thing that I'm afraid of, is like I didn't experience that fatherly love, when I was young, and so how can I give that to somebody when I never experienced it before? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that is one of my biggest fears right now. When my wife first told me, I think that's what the first thing that came to my mind was excitement, and then fear, and then excitement, and then sometimes fear. Mostly excitement, but a lot of fear at the same time. And I'm just being completely honest with you guys. That's what I felt, and sometimes we can't control that because we don't know what to expect again. So I think that would be one of my biggest fears. Also, with everything going on right now with the coronavirus, Corona time. We don't know what the birth is gonna look like. We don't know. We don't know how it's gonna be in the hospital. Luckily right now I could still be there. We know nurses and doctors are going to be doing their part, and the staff and keeping our son safe. But like, how's that going to look like? If they're going to take him, are they going to isolate him? Like, are we going to be isolated? Like, you think about all this stuff, and we're like, this is not the norm. It hasn't been the norm for a long time, and it might become the norm, but right now it's not. So how is this going to look like? And it's not like I can call somebody that had a kid a year ago or 4 months ago and say, hey, how was the hospital visit? Another thing that I'm pretty sad about is our family not being able to see the baby right away. Obviously our parents, we're gonna do our part. We're gonna let them in, our siblings, but the rest of our family's not. Aunts, uncles, cousins, they're not gonna be able to see the baby. So usually, everybody wants to come over. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna be the case. So again, that's going to be different for us. We don't know how long that's going to last for. Maybe until he gets his shots. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but it is a little sad that has to happen. But again, we're all adjusting, and we're all just working with what we have right now, and that's what it is. We have that right now, and hey, tough luck, but it is what it is. So we have that, and honestly, one of the biggest things for me has been, I don't really think about this stuff, but my wife does a lot, so it's important to go over. But getting everything prepared, she's been doing a lot of deep cleaning. I've been doing some deep cleaning. Every time that we get something coming in, we wipe it down. I open the box outside. I throw the box away. We wipe it down. She's pretty good about that and reminding me, because I just kind of forget about stuff like that. So we do our part, right, of wiping stuff down and doing that. Also, preparing stuff like the crib's already built. His shelves or his cabinets are built already. So we mostly have what we need, and we've been receiving tons of gifts from people, in our home, our parents' homes. So it's been great, and it's been a blessing. So I just want to thank all you guys that have been sending stuff. But what I wanted to ask you guys is, again, going back to advice and suggestions, like, hey, maybe like what are like 3 things, or what are one, that one important thing that you needed when your first child came. Like, hey, you must have this, man. Like, who cares? Like, if you have to spend $500, like, go spend those $500, because 1, it's going to be safe, or 2, it's going to make your life easier. What is it? Let me know. We need to know, and we want to know. So we want to be able to do our part and be prepared for our son. And we know what's important. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to myself, my wife, and we would truly appreciate it, because we want to be prepared as much as we can. We know we'll figure it out, but we want to do our part. And so, yeah, feel free to reach out. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, even though I only have that, like, so many subscribers, but we're on there, right? I think I have more listeners on the podcast than I actually do subscribers. So, hey, it's all good. It's all good. And then go into how our life will change. Our life is going to, it's going to be flipped upside down, especially right now with everything going on. But it's going to change for the best, right? This is a blessing. We're going into a new season in our lives, a new season of our marriage, a new season of a lot of stuff, right? That are going to be different and that are going to change. And, we understand there's going to be a lot of adjusting that needs to be done. There's going to be a lot of adjusting that we already done already. So I can only imagine how crazy it's going to be once he's actually here. One thing that my wife and I always talked about is, and there's certain things that, like, hey, we're on the same page about, not certain. We're on the same page about, of everything. But like, one of the things is, like, hey, we've been talking about, like, we cannot make excuses for our son, right? So, like, what I mean by that is, like, hey, if we have a duty, if we have an obligation, we have somewhere to be or something to do, and we've committed to it already, and that's something that, hey, if it's serving, if it's attending church, and hey, our time that we've been away is over already, we've taken the time, things like that, or hey, I have an appointment at a certain time, like non-negotiables like that. Like, we cannot allow we understand things are going to happen, but we cannot allow our son to be an excuse. He should be the reason why we do what we do, right? One, to show him, hey, this is how we do things. This is how the Cedenos live. This is how the Cedenos do it. And 2, we want to just really show other people, like, hey, man, if you've been making excuses, like, is it really an excuse, or you just really didn't want to do it? Like, you have to decide, like, hey, is this important to me? And we know a lot of things are important to us, so we're not going to be making excuses. And this is not to put anybody down. This is not to say, hey, we have it all figured out. But this is to say, like, hey, man, there's ways of doing this, and we're not going to make an excuse, basically, man. And I hope maybe that helps you out right now. If you've been making excuses, if you've been allowing your kids to be an excuse, hey, my kids are the reason why I don't have the job that I always wanted to have, or hey, I can't start this business because of my kids, right? I have to go ride bikes with them and stuff. Like, no, man, like, hey, they should be the reason, not the excuse. Again, they should be the reason, not the excuse. You should go start that business because you have your kids. You should go get healthy because you have your kids, right? You should have the finances because you have those kids, right? You should have a great relationship with God, a great relationship with your wife. You should have all these things because of your kids, right? Not an excuse, but they are the reason. And we want to instill that into our son. If anything, the rest was just kind of stuff that we're going through. If there was any teaching point in this podcast, that was it right there, right? Don't let them be an excuse. Allow them to be the reason, guys. So I hope you guys are all staying safe. I hope you guys are all doing great. I hope your beards are getting long. I mean, should I tell you, my hair is getting a little bit crazy. I'm just thankful that I still have it. Because when I first cut my hair, I got these, I don't know how to say it in Spanish, entradas, but I was a little worried, my man. I was a little worried. I was like, your boy's losing his hair. It's all going to be gone. But it seems like it's going strong right now. So let's keep it going. I need to get a haircut ASAP because we do have a live video we're going to be doing this Saturday on just to honor all the gifts that we've been bringing in, and we're not having the baby shower like we said, so we're going to be doing this instead. All right, guys, I hope you guys have an amazing week, an amazing weekend. Stay productive. Love you guys. And again, if nobody loves you, Jesus loves you. Have a good one, guys.